Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and a new puzzle to have a look at by the great Juggler, Michael Lefkowitz, one of the most original minds, frankly, in the world, let alone in the world of Sudoku. This puzzle is called Changelog, and I suspect that this is inspired in some way by computer programming, because there's sort of memory cells that we have to write to. These are the memory cells, and we have to maneuver the robot outside the grid to the exit. How we're going to do this, I'm not sure, but this puzzle has been recommended to us a lot. In fact, it was recommended to us by, who was it? Somebody recommended to us and said, oh, that they'd made a second version of this puzzle, and maybe we could do two puzzles in one video. And the tester said, no way, this apparently is more than difficult enough on its own, but perhaps if people enjoy it, we might look at the sequel puzzle in due course too. Now I'm starting this video far too late today, and I have Josh and Sam to blame for this over there in Adelaide. I mean, I'll get to this later, but basically they have some sort of playlist that they wanted me to add to for Josh's birthday. And of course, the moment you start thinking about songs you'd like to add to a playlist, you just go down rabbit holes. It's taken me about an hour to do this. Anyway, we'll talk about the playlist more in a moment. Just before we do the rules to Changelog and see what Juggler has in store for us today. But let me look at my list of other things to mention. We are closing in fast on the 1st of August, and on the 1st of August we are going to be releasing a brand new competition over on Patreon, The Labours of Rostam. Oh, my screen's obviously moved slightly today. There we go. Rostam being the greatest of the Persian heroes, Wikipedia tells me, and his labours involved all sorts of things, and we've made a Sudoku hunt themed around that. So it goes live at 4 p.m. On the 1st of August, and you'll have until the 20th to enter the competition by solving all the puzzles and give yourselves a chance to win the opportunity to make a Sudoku video with me that might appear on the channel in due course. And I've just heard back from Emily, who won this month's competition, and Emily is game. So Emily, I'll be in touch soon. And we'll try and arrange a date to do that. And yeah, it's I think these videos are really, well, I enjoy making them, and I think it does seem that you guys enjoy watching them. So that's something that might appeal to some of you. What else? Well, let's do these birthdays, actually. I think I'm actually late with all of these in some ways, because I was on holiday for a couple of weeks. And I lost track of birthdays a little bit. But we'll start with David. David, your wife Montana wrote to us. And I think this was while I was away. I haven't got the exact date on my list here. But it was your birthday. Montana says you're a fantastic father to your 1-year-old. And yeah, this is a belated birthday wish. Now, I am so sorry to read, David, that you were having homemade banoffee pie for your birthday. That is, I mean, that's so bad, I can hardly comprehend it. Banoffee pie is the food of the devil and must never be eaten under any circumstances. Chocolate cake, that is what you need, with plenty of chocolate icing, and it must have been nowhere near a banana. All foods that are yellow are slightly dubious, but banana is the most dubious of all. David, there is some birthday advice, and I hope you had a good one. Now, next, this isn't a birthday, but Vincent. We had a lovely email from your colleague Femke. I hope I'm saying the name correctly. I think these are Dutch names. And Vincent, you were leaving the company to pursue a new job opportunity. And Femke wanted to basically say goodbye and good luck to you, and thank you for I suppose being a dear colleague. She describes you as being a real numbers guy, and that you put Cracking the Cryptic videos on when you hit traffic jams on the carpool journeys, which is very cool. So Vincent, I hope you get this message, and yeah, I hope I've understood the message correctly. And Femke, thank you for writing such a kind message to us. We did appreciate it. And then finally, the reason I'm late starting the video, Josh, you turned 35 recently. I know this because your brother Sam wrote in. I think it was July the 9th, your birthday over there in Adelaide. But I didn't know about this, Josh, until well after July the 9th. So it's not only my fault that this message is late. But the two brothers have been exchanging song recommendations for many years. They exchange song recommendations every Wednesday, and today is Wednesday. So Sam said, could I provide some suggestions to add to your playlist, which is currently running at 598 songs. And I think I've done something like this before, and I recommended Hamish Hawke's song, didn't I? What was it? The Mauritian badminton player or something. I can't remember, but it's a very good song. Anyway, that sent me down a rabbit hole, and I've made you a Spotify playlist. And what I tried to do was to select things from all sorts of genres, so you couldn't accuse me of being a one-trick pony. This was the list I've come up with. I'll put a link to the Spotify thing under the video, and you can let me know. You've probably got all this on your playlist already, but hopefully there's one or two there that might surprise you. Zombie Girl, Adrian Lenker, probably the most gifted songwriter operating in the world today, in my opinion. Greta Van Fleet, the voice of that lead singer is quite incredible. The Dubliners, that's probably not on your list, but The Irish Rover is one of those great Irish pub songs, and I think that's a particularly good version of it. Derek and the Dominoes, Any Day, from the greatest album there ever was, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs, of course, written basically by Eric Clapton when he fell in love with his best friend's wife. His best friend was George Harrison, the Beatle, and his best friend wife was Pattie Boyd Harrison. That album is one of the most emotional things you could ever listen to. And Any Day, the slide guitar work of Duane Allman in his pomp, incredible. In fact, as incredible actually is the guitar work on Ocean. I've chosen the Live at Red Rocks version by the John Butler Trio, but really it's just John Butler, and believe it or not, if you listen to that is one guitar. It won't sound like one guitar. I can tell you, because I have tried to learn to play that piece a couple of times. It is crazy and it's absolutely beautiful. So there's one. Big Thief, Adrian Lenker's band. I think they've got a new album coming out soon, but Randy is a very good song. Now, I bet you haven't got Dan Arborize on your playlist. That's just a nice song. I thought you might like it. Dire Straits, In the Gallery, from the original Dire Straits eponymous album. Only Mark Knopfler could write a great song about sort of corruption in the art industry and people making modern art that might be a picture of nothing. And anyway, that's a great song, in my opinion. Dean Lewis, yeah, that's just a nice song as well. You might like it. And then, is it Vochesate? I'm never quite sure how to pronounce the name of this. Well, it's an octet of singers, and they are absolutely incredible. If you get a chance to listen to Nimrod, Lux Eterna, their sort of take on the Elgar piece, you can find it on YouTube as well, and it's very difficult to listen to because it's so emotional, and the way that the voices work. So it's all a cappella. It's there's no instruments. It's quite sublime. And then a slightly frivolous older blues ballad at the end there from Lonnie Johnson and Elmer Snowden. Not a very well-known song. And there, I've taken some time for all of you to talk through why I chose these songs for Josh. And hopefully you don't mind. You may do. And you may object to my music taste, which is, of course, exemplary. And I'm sorry for anyone who I've just bored incredibly much. But that is the nature of cracking the cryptic, isn't it? I mean, we are not a place where we rush things. We try to make this logical and kind. And Yeah, Josh, happy birthday. Anyway, let's go. Let's have a look at Changelog by Michael Lefkowitz. The rules are, they're not very long, but they are very interesting. We have got normal 6x6 Sudoku rules apply. So we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once. Sorry. We've got to put the digits 1 to 6 once each in every row, every column, and every one of these sort of 2x3 rectangles. Hopefully you can see them. They are very slightly difficult to see, but so each of these colours here would have to contain the digits 1 to 6 once each. Now we have to draw a path along interior grid lines from the robot to the exit. The path cannot touch itself. Now, you can, if you don't know how to draw paths in the software, click the cog icon. Make sure your pen tool is on. And if your pen tool is on, you will have an option in the sort of right hand side or wherever the digits are, and you can click that, and that will allow you, let's make sure we've got a good colour. What should we have? Red. Let's have red. You can draw, you can just drag and draw these lines along the grid lines, and that's a really lovely way that we're going to be able to draw the path from the robot to the exit. Now the next rule, and this is the last rule, is that the robot computes the difference between each pair of digits it passes between and writes these differences to the grey memory cells in reading order. All memory cells must be written to. So, I mean, let's just check we understand what that means. So the robot looks like the robot's going to go there. And then what we're going to have to do is work out the difference between those two cells and write that into this cell, I think, because we have to write into the memory cells in reading order. And then wherever the robot goes next, so say the robot went down there. I don't know if this is possible yet. We'll have to think about this. So if I've done something stupid, forgive me. But then, okay, so then we would write into this cell the difference between those two cells, is I think how it works. Because that's the second position, and that's the second difference. It is completely and utterly classic Juggler, this. Absolutely mad. Do have a go. I think it's only got 2 stars out of 5 for difficulty, which is slightly terrifying, because my brain is sort of saying, no, this is far more complicated than that. Anyway, do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now, I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now. Well, okay, let's start by, I mean, that is the first way in, isn't it? And that's the way out. And presumably we can't just do that, because that's only going to have three sort of differences. And there's definitely loads of differences. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 differences. So the line has to be 13 segments long. So it definitely doesn't go there. So it must go there, I think. Okay. Maybe there's some places it can't get to. Like if it got to this box, that feels like it's going to be too many segments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, it might be able to actually. It might be able to snip the edge of the box. Okay, all right. We can do one obvious thing in row 2, can't we? Because there can't possibly, none of these different cells can be a 6. Because the maximum, you know, if this was a 1 and this was a 6, which is the most extremely apart they could be, that's only a difference of 5. So all of these grey cells are numbers between 1 and 5, and I think that means in row 2 that's got to be a 6. So there's got to be a 6 in one of those cells, in one of these cells, one of these cells, one of those cells. Oh, and we're getting a bit silly if we have to if I have to, maybe I'll do that one. That's 3 different cells. I'm not going to do that one. That's 4 different cells. So one of these has to be a 5, which means that they're in the 1, 2, 3. It means in the first 5 moves of the robot will have to sit between a 1 and a 6 somewhere. It'll have to move between us. So say this was a 1, 6. That would be the second. So, well, hang on, that doesn't seem to work at all. But yeah, it will have to move between a 1 and a 6 somewhere. So hang on. This... Yeah, right. Let's look at this one. Let's make it a nice colour. Let's look at this one. Because this memory cell is documenting the difference between itself and this cell, I think. Because this is the second, in reading order, this is the second memory cell. And this domino is the sort of second cell that the robot cuts between. So this digit, so the difference between those two goes into this cell. So this cell is... Hang on, how does that work? Is it... I feel like it's got to be a black dot relationship. Yeah, how could this be a big number? It can't be a big number. Because if, imagine that's a 4. Then we're saying the difference between these two digits is 4. Well, that's either going to require this to be a 0, which it can't be, or an 8, which is ludicrous. If this is a 5, this again would be a 0 or a 10. A 6 would be a 12 or a 0. So this, I think this is a black dot relationship. So this is going to be 1, 2, or 3. And this is going to be double that value, 2, 4, or 6. In order to preserve because this represents the difference between these two digits, and we can't use 0, if you see what I mean. So obviously if we put 2 here and I could put 0 here, that would work. That would be a difference of 2. But because we can't use 0, we're always having to double upwards. Now, okay, so that could be 6 if this is 3. And then the difference between these two goes in, so maybe we should colour this. So the difference between those two goes in this one. The difference between these two goes in this one. So, oh, that's it, right, okay. So if the robot now goes downwards, then it's the same trick again, isn't it? This is going to document the difference between those two digits, and this will be the lower digit. So in fact that would have to, so this would be a second, it would be a complete black dot sequence, with this being the highest black dot number. So it couldn't go 6, 3, 1.5. It could go 4, 2, 1, and it can't go 2, 1, half here. That won't work. So it would have to go 4, 2, 1. 4, 2, 1. So what would this digit be? Nothing. Right. Okay, so we can disprove the path going south along this edge, because, just to go recapitulate the logic, what's going to happen then is that this has to be a black dot relationship with this being the smaller digit, i.e. this will be double this digit, in order to make sure this is the difference between itself and this digit. So what you're going to have is 1, 2, 4 is the only way you can fill this. But now, I don't think this works, because I have to put in here the difference between 4 and this digit without using 1s and 2s. And if I make this a 3, well, that would make this a 1 or a 7. And if I make this a 5, this is going to have to be this will have to be a -1 or a 9, and that's just silly. So I don't think this works, and that means the path continues. Right, so the path, okay. Yeah. Right, sorry, I hadn't appreciated this. But because the path was sort of on this node, where I'm moving the cursor there, whether it went eastwards or southwards, this digit was always party to the next difference, because we're either looking at the difference between those two or those two. So this was always going to be in a black dot relationship, and it was always going to be 1, 2, or 3. But I suppose now we know that this is the 2, 4, or 6, because that's what it must be. Right. So I'm going to do that again. Because we're now at this node, and we have a choice about whether we go south or east. But the point is, whether we do go south or east, the difference we're looking at, this cell, which is the 4th difference along the line, is representing the difference between either those 2 digits or these 2 digits. So again, it's going to have to be a 1, 2, or 3, and either this, well... Oh, my door's opening. I think everything's all right. So either this is 2, 4, 6. But it could only be 2 or 4. Or this is going to be 1. This is going to be 2. This is going to be 4. I'm not sure. I'm not actually sure which way that goes. I mean, I can see by Sudoku that's a 4, 5 pair in row 2. So 5 in box 1 is in one of 2 places. Can this be... Oh, it could be 5. It could be 5 if that's the 6, 1 pair. That's the specific case we were looking at the start. If that's a 5, that has to be a 4. Oh, then no, that doesn't work. Right, you can't put 5 in the corner, because if you do, this digit, which would be a 4, is representing the difference between these 2 yellow digits. This is really interesting. And obviously this would have to be a 1 then, and it doesn't seem to be able to. So I think that's the 5. That's a 4. Oh, and if that's a 5, this is a 1, 6 pair. That's because we've just said that's the only way we can achieve that difference. So this is not 6. These are not 1s anymore. So this is a 1. This is a 2, 3. So this is a 4. And, well, now we know that this is a black dot relationship. So that's a 2. We know that this is now a 3, that's a 6, because that's a black dot relationship, and we've done box 1 out of absolutely nowhere. This is really clever. Not of me, I hasten to add. I don't feel like I'm grasping it very well at all, but I am at least getting somewhere. Now, oh, that's right, I've got something beautiful. I'm just going to go to that. Where's 6 in this box? Now, it's not here, but by our old friend Sudoku, that fair weather friend. It's not here, believe it or not, because if this is a 6, this line segment here represents the last difference, which is that cell, isn't it? That's the final reading cell that we're going to get. So if this is a 6, I've got to write 1 into that cell, and it's going to clash. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to write 6 into that cell. Now, does the fact that this is 2, 1 mean that the path goes there or not? I don't know that. Let me just do some colouring to try and keep preserving. So that's the third colour. Oh yeah, and then we don't know, because it either goes downwards between the 2 and the 1, which would work because this would be a black dot relationship, or it goes eastwards. No, it's right. That's the way to do it. It doesn't do what I've just said, because this would be the 4th difference represented by this line, and the next movement from this node here, either that way or that way, is going to involve the 4 in the difference sum, because you're either going to be looking at the difference between those 2 digits or these 2 digits, and this 4 cannot be on the lower side of that black dot relationship, because it would be implying that the other digit would be 4 different from it, and we've worked out already that 8 is not a digit in this puzzle, and neither is 0, so we can't do this. We have to go down. And so the 4th, that is the 4th difference. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the 5th difference. Now the 4 here, this is going to get confusing now, because now we've got a difference between where the digits recording the difference are and where the actual line is. Yeah, see, the line could just go there between the 2 and the 6, because this 4, I mean 6 and 2 are 4 apart. Or it could go here, and then this digit would be a 2, I think, and that looks possible. Or it could go there, and this digit would have to be a 5, because it would have to be 4 different from 4. And rather distressingly, all of those things look possible. Ooh, okay, let's change tack then. Where's 6 in column 1? It can't go in a difference square, so that's a 6. Okay, that did not do enough of a job for us, did it? What's this digit? That's going to depend on what this is. Let's just put the options in. That digit is 2, 3, or 4 by Sudoku. So this, which is the final difference, is either 3, 2, or 1. It's not 1, is it? So this is not 4. Yeah, that's rather cool. Actually, that is beautiful. That is beautiful, because look, these 2 digits are different. Because imagine this was a 2, then the difference between 5 and 2 is 3, and you'd write 3 here. And if this is a 3, the difference is 2, and you'd write 2 here. So these are different versions of 2 and 3. I'm not going to use colours, because I've been using colours to represent the sort of differences, but these are different digits, and they both see this digit. So this digit now cannot be a 2 or a 3, because if it was a 2 or a 3, this different pair here couldn't exist. So this digit is now 4 or 5, and I don't think this can now go south from this node, because if it goes south, the difference between these 2 digits is supposed to be 4, this digit, and it wouldn't be. It's really quite complicated, this. So we can put an X in there. Oh no, but we could still go that way, couldn't we? Probably. Because if we do that, that would be a 5, representing this difference. And then this would be hang on. I'm getting myself confused now. The 1 and the 5 would represent the 4 difference. That's fine. And then this digit would represent the difference. No, we're the wrong side of the black dot. This is... Oh, actually, are we, though? I need to think about this. Sorry. I'm not sure. Maybe we can't go east any further. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, we can. In fact, it would be correct. So what I was wondering about is this. So if we do go east, those 2 digits are specifying this one. So this 4 is giving me the difference between these 2. Now, we now know that the next difference... hang on. No, I think it is impossible, because we now know that wherever we move from this... I shouldn't have used red, should I? Let's just change the red colour to something else. I'll use orange instead. We now know that we're at this point, and I have to cut between a 6 and a 1, because the next difference on the line is this. In normal reading order, the difference after the 4, which we've just recorded, is a 5 difference. So we either go downwards, which would mean this should be a 6-1 pair, and it obviously can't be. Or we can go that way, but that's not a 6-1 pair. Or we could go up, but that's not a 6-1 pair. So it just doesn't work. Right, I tell you what, it is quite tricky. It's quite tricky to keep track of exactly where you are along the line. But this is good, because that means we don't go that way. We don't go that way. Yeah, which means this is not a 5, doesn't it? Well, it might, no, I'm not saying that actually. It means that it's not forced to be a 5 by the path going to the east, because it was the path going east which required a difference of 4 between this digit and that digit. So this might still be a 5, but it's not forced to be. But now the path is going to go west. Go west, young man. And it can't connect up, because that's not 13 cells long as a path. So the path must go there, the path must go there. It probably still isn't 13 long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it's not. So it can't close there either. So this one has... Oh no, hang on. Could it go there? Oh, maybe it could actually. I hadn't considered this. But if it goes there and then down, then presumably this difference is between that cell and the cell outside the grid, which would just mean that cell. And you could write the contents of that cell, for example, into there, couldn't you? I'm just going to check the rules. Oh no, actually maybe you can't do that. Draw a path along interior grid lines. Okay, so maybe it is legitimate to say it must do that next. I'm not sure. Let's see if we can make progress without making that assumption. So how do we do that? This column has got 1, 3 and 5 in it. Let's put that in case it helps. And the next difference, we've done this difference, which is those 3. So we are looking at this cell to give the difference between this cell and this cell. Golly, this is very confusing. So this is 1 or 2, I think. And this difference is the same as that, isn't it? So is that useful? Oh no, that's in fact it's just plain wrong, isn't it? No, that's wrong. No, sorry. This difference is that one. This one is a new difference. It's this one. Oh, that's big. Yeah, there we go. So those two, the difference between these two is the second. It's the penultimate difference, which is that cell. So I think that can't be a 3 even. 1 and 3 is the furthest we could keep these apart, which is a difference of 2, which can't go in there. So that's going to have to be a 1. These two this is like a white Kropke dot relationship between these two cells. They are consecutive digits, so they must include an even digit, and the only even digit on offer is 2. So now that cell is definitely odd, because it sees 2, 6 and 4, and that is the next, that's the next difference from here, I think, but I'm going to think about that in a minute. Just 1 second, let me just mull this over a bit further. Okay. No, okay. Let's think this through. So we've just dealt with this difference, which is dealing with that domino, and now we're on this difference. So we've got an odd difference between, right, and we're either going there or we're going there, and there's got to be an odd difference. So if we went there, there would be an odd difference of 1 or 3 between these two cells. And if we went there, then this is odd. So to have this would have to be an even digit. That would have to be a 4. Oh, that's very clever. Wow. Okay, that's wrong. That's wrong. This is a beautiful puzzle. Honestly, it's really intricate. Okay. So, why can't this be, well, why can't the path do that, is the question we're going to ask. And the answer is to do with parity a bit, and then Sudoku. Because we now know the difference between these digits is represented here. And this is an odd number. And there's an odd difference between this odd number and this cell. So this has to be even. And it's not 2 and it's not 6. So it is 4. But look what happens now. We now know the difference. The difference is 1. But that's impossible, because I can't put 1 now into box 3 at all. 1, 1, 1. There's nowhere to put it. So this cannot be correct. And in fact, we've got to go there. And now, right, now let's work this out. So this is 3 or 5, so this is not 5 as a difference. And, right, so this is a 1, 2, 3 triple in row 3. So this digit is 4 or 5, but it's not a memory cell. But we need to record this, don't we? So these two are that one. So those are the combination. And then depending on, yes, so now if this does go south, oh, that would be huge if it goes south. But because this cell would be recording its own difference again. So it would be in a black dot relationship with this cell. So it would have to be 3, 6 if this goes south. I don't think it has to go south because I think it can go east. Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No. This is so cool. Right. Do you remember we've got 13 segments to play with? Well, let's count how many segments we've used so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so we're on 7. Now let's say at this point we run for the hills, we run for the exit. We're scared of being in the maze still, so we're going to run as quickly and as efficiently as we can to the exit. Well, what we'd have to do was we'd have to go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's the only way. There's no other possible route we could take without taking more than 13 cells. We can't take more than 13 segments because there aren't more than 13 memory cells. Now, is that definitely true? All memory cells must be written to. Computes the difference. I think that is implied by the rules. I was wondering whether we could do a massive long line and only write the differences for the first 13 segments into the memory cells, but that doesn't feel like. Computes the difference between each pair of digits it passes between and writes these differences to the grey memory cells in reading order. I think it's implied that we are meant to record all differences in memory cells as opposed to having a sort of arbitrarily long line. Yeah, I mean, and because actually that's gonna, if I can't make that assumption, my logic around making this square have to be the last memory cell would be wrong. Because I said this couldn't be a 1 because that difference couldn't be a 1. Well, no, because I said this couldn't be a 4 because, or a 6 because this cell couldn't be a 1 by Sudoku. So I've already implicitly made the assumption that there are only 13 cells on the line. I mean, I think it is implied by the rules. I might tweak them. Assuming I can solve the puzzle from here, just to make that absolutely crystal clear. It might already be crystal clear. It felt crystal clear in my brain. But these are the sorts of things that worry us when we're trying to showcase these puzzles, because if there is any sort of ambiguity, there's no doubt we have an intelligent enough audience that it will be spotted. But, okay, let's go back to the thought I was having around this, which I think is going to be really powerful, because now we know we've just dealt with this difference, which is the difference between these two. So this cell is dealing with the difference between itself and this cell. So this can't be 5, can it? Because then this will have to be 10 or 0. That has to be 3. This has to be 6. That has to be 6 by Sudoku. This has to be 5. This is 3, so this is now 2. This is 1. This is 3. Oh, and that's good, because that 3 is the difference between those two. But 6 and 1 are 5 apart, so actually the colouring is slightly useful. Alright, that's not 3. This is 2, and it has to be different from that. So that's 3, that's 2, that's 5. That's 3 in the corner, that's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. Okay, look, we can keep going with Sudoku here, actually. So let's do that until we get stuck and have to check our differences. This is a 1-2 pair. This digit is a 4. So that's 4, that's 2, that's 1, 1, whoops, 1, 1, 2, 2, 5. Okay, I didn't need to, actually, which is a bit discombobulating. let's double check then. So we've got this cell is representing this difference. This cell is representing that difference. So now, yes, and the 2 is the difference between 3 and 5, so that works. And then the next difference is 3, and that is the difference between 5 and 2. And then the next difference is 1, and that is the difference between 5 and 4. And then the next difference is 1, and that is the difference, well, 1 is the difference between 1 and 2. And then the final difference is 3, which is correct. So I think this is right, and it is. That's lovely. That's absolutely lovely. Very original, as always, from Michael. And just, yeah, really interesting. And it shows me yet again that even though I would love to be good at computer programming, I've never had the opportunity to sort of study it or get good at it. But I probably shouldn't ever look at it because I don't think it plays to my strengths. But let me know in the comments how you got on with the puzzle. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.